doesn't this look better than this? Not only is this prettier, but it is also more sustainable and environmentally friendly. This is Dr. Charlie Headington of the Greensboro Permaculture Guild, working to teach others in the community how to live sustainably and overall more environmentally friendly.
This image, on the other hand, shows our society's conventional method of farming, industrial farming. They are large-scale farming operations that have a huge negative impact on the environment and are unsustainable. Large-scale farming destroys natural systems like rainforests and wetlands due to deforestation and pollution. It also leads to the land being less productive. The use of single crops or row crops grown over many seasons and the lack of crop rotation can cause erosion of topsoil, loss of organic matter, and a decline in the biological activity in the soil, according to a publication by the USDA's National Agriculture Library. These effects decrease the land's fertility and make it so that new land must be sought out, continuing this vicious cycle. But less fertile soil is not the only issue. According to the USDA, current agricultural practices are a huge non-point source of water pollutants. Pesticides, fertilizer, and manure all contribute to this pollution. The chemicals from pesticides are commonly found in groundwater, and the excess of nutrients from fertilizer and manure cause eutrophication in many bodies of water. Eutrophication can cause population explosions of algae and plankton, leading to oxygen depletion in water sources. An article done by the United Nations University says that according to the United Nations Environment Program, agrochemicals like those from pesticides and fertilizer are responsible for most of the ecotoxicity of freshwater bodies in America. The excessive use of pesticides has caused over 400 insects and pests and over 70 fungal pathogens to become resistant to one or more pesticides, like the diamondback moth has. The pesticides are also harmful to pollinator and beneficial species, like honeybees and ladybugs. The pollution, loss of habitat, and the destruction of land not only work against the environment, but the farms as well, making them unsustainable. Polluted waters mean lower water quality for agricultural use and dangerous toxins for many organisms. Loss of habitat means a reduction in the biodiversity in a region and hurts important organisms' chances for survival, and the destruction of land makes it unfit for farming or even natural use. So how does one counter these horrible effects?
One method coming into use is permaculture, a sustainable approach to gardening that focuses on working with nature to create a mutually beneficial relationship between humans and the earth in backyards, communities, and ecosystems. The term permaculture was coined by scientists Bill Mollison and David Holmgren in 1974, who were searching for positive solutions to the harmful political and industrial systems that were destroying the environment. The key features are gardens that are modeled after natural ecosystems, require infrequent watering, and have soil that renews itself. These gardens give us fruits, vegetables, and medicines, provide protection from pests and habitats for wildlife, and are aesthetically pleasing. Bill Mollison writes in Introduction to Permaculture that the goal is to create systems that are ecologically sound, economically viable, self-sufficient, do not exploit land or contribute to pollution, and thus are sustainable in the long run.
Food has become a big issue now. It's a hot environmental issue because of industrial agriculture. It's a big kind of political issue because there are people without food and food deserts, and it's an international issue. Well, insofar as a lot of environmental issues are tied to, high expectations of life and lots of consumption and so on. Permaculture is a kind of low-consuming path to take, and so that has, if anything, a beneficial relation. And then, we show a way of, you can clean the air naturally, you can use less water and store your water, you can even clean your water. You can do all of these things, and so you don't have to be so tied into large systems that do all those things for you. Well, in general, permaculture tries to work with the environment. So, in fact, even for places that have been highly cultivated, which has most places in the city, and in fact kind of desolated, it tries to improve the environment, meaning improving the quality of the soil, the diversity of species, leaving systems intact, capturing and storing rainwater, respecting the rights of other species.
A local organization called the Greensboro Permaculture Guild is dedicated to connecting those interested in permaculture gardening. This association is a teaching and learning, design and project-oriented cooperative of permaculture practitioners in the Piedmont region of North Carolina who want to grow an abundance of local food in rural, suburban, and urban communities.
One of my classes of last year's class of 20 design students said, we want to keep meeting, and we want to keep learning. And one of the members, David, said, well, why don't we just start having a meeting that's lunch, one lunchtime a week, and see who comes and see maybe what ideas we have. And then at a certain point, they kind of asked me, if I had any ideas. And it turns out that I had already written up a kind of a plan. It had a practical part that it wanted to do like public projects, wanted to set up models and show people that this can be done. And then it had a kind of a livelihood so that people could turn their newly acquired design certification into actual real-world stuff and go out there and design things. And then we wanted to do presentations, and so we started getting it together, and we've kept meeting now every Tuesday for 4 months.
They have created space for public forums to be held on a regular basis with diverse people on specific topics such as successful permaculture endeavors and workshops on cost-effective utilization of permaculture gardening techniques.
Yeah, well, it's hard to, we haven't done a whole lot, but each one has been like an exclamation mark. The first one was installing the small but first downtown public orchard as part of the Greenway project. It was a cluster of fruit trees with a very rich ground cover. There were originally 16 trees, which doesn't sound like much, but 1,000 plants that we were going to plant underneath as a diverse understory that would bring in beneficial insects and do these other functions that permaculture talks about.
As Bill Mollison said, though the problems of the world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple.